Your body is punishing you because it doesn't want to change. It loves routine. Even if your routine is fat and happy is better than skinny and miserable. And your brain is wired to keep you fat and happy.
Send prompts, not nudes. I just want to AI some shit.
I'm drinking OKI, straight bourbon whiskey, because I love it. And I thank the bourbon gods in heaven that allowed someone else to buy this and continue the legacy properly and not run it into the absolute ground, which seems to be a common MO. So that is my prayer to the bourbon gods today.
Is it sourced, or do they do their own, do they get their own distillate?
So this is the company that bought it from New Riff. This is the new version, and I believe this is from Bardstown, but distilled in Indiana.
Oh, it's MGP.
Yep, which means MGP.
If it's good, it's good, though, right? There's no... Okay, so here's the rule about bourbon. There is no bad bourbon. There's just some bourbon that's better than others.
There's bourbon that I drink, and there's bourbon that I drink.
Exactly. Well, I don't have bourbon today.
What?
Today I have Wuliangye.
Blasphemy.
It is blasphemy.
Nope, this podcast is over. It's been a nice run.
So if you're a fan of Deep Seek,
gross.
This is a Chinese white alcohol. It's a rice alcohol, and I am saving some for you because you have to try this.
That's the one. That's the one you were talking about the other day.
It is absolutely amazing.
What does it taste like?
Well, it's hard to describe because I think some of
it's water.
The fruits in here are not really like fruits that we would like normally eat, like strawberries or
Yeah.
Thing like that. Like it's different types of fruit, but it is very fruity. It's sweet, and then the rice they don't use barley and wheat and.
Is that the one we tried at Disney? Like that?
No, well, it was similar to that, but this is a special one.
This is like the real shit.
This is like the real deal.
It's not Disney. It's not Disney. Well,
Disney gets the real. Don't get me wrong. Disney gets good stuff.
I was surprised by it.
Yeah, but yeah, my wife's family got it when she went out to visit a year, like last year, the year before. They got me this as a gift, and it's been sitting on my shelf, and I got to crack this open. It's amazing. It's really, really good. So I'll save some for you so you can try it out. But,
cool. So yeah. So topics for today: 1-800 singularity.
1-800 singularity. What is the singularity? Let's start by
defining it.
Start by defining it.
Don't worry, I'm John, and I'm gonna help you understand. No, that's a terrible. Like you should actually trust James. Yeah, exactly. Like let James define it. Let me follow it up with like a bunch of theories and tinfoil hat conversation, but unfortunately ties into some of our AGI topic.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we're actually leveling it up a little bit because now we're talking about something that like just hop, skipped, and jumped right over that whole bell curve and went to super intelligence level and says, "Go yourself, humanity." I'm here not to get annihilated by your stupidity. Mm-hmm. But how about you start with defining what the AI singularity is?
So just like the debate of what AGI is, I think the singularity has a little bit of definitional challenges. But basically, when you hear somebody talk about the singularity, it's the moment where AI starts to transcend human intelligence. And so this topic is really about AI self-improvement, meaning it is learning, it's teaching itself, and it's not being directed, right? Like the singularity.
It's evolving.
It's exactly
truly like true evolution.
Right. And it's becoming right? Like this is where you would think of like it's self-aware, right? It's alive,
But
sort
I don't,
of like sensation, maybe.
yeah, like I think we're gonna get that before we get a singularity, though. Personally.
Self-awareness before
Oh God, yeah,
singularity. Yeah.
yeah, because
But
like,
they'll happen back to back though, right?
well, I think we're talking about, like, again, we have human level self awareness tests for a reason, because there's different levels of self awareness. Some people are very self aware. Some people are really bad at it. But I
Sure.
think we're gonna see AI in the same boat, where it's like, oh, cool, it measures on a spectrum of, like, yeah, it knows it exists and it understands how it exists and why it exists and what it is. But like some of that still goes back to like programmed, which there's this whole recent spiel with I think it was actually the godfather of AI. He went on this rant on YouTube, of all things. I'm gonna have to find this video and link it. But essentially he was talking about like why people keep saying generative AI is not able to do these things, and which was surprising to me, his debate was like, you are generative AI. Your brain is literally generative AI. Like, you're told to believe a certain thing. You ingest that information.
Hmm.
You don't ingest that information like a database. You ingest that information through recursive learning that is fed to you over time, that you recall parts and pieces of to create the stupid words that come out of your mouth when trying to explain something. and
Yep.
and like, the reality is, when we're putting language together, the words that are coming out are not written in my brain. They're an amalgamation of all these other collective experiences and all the things that I've done in my life that have like brought me to this point in time where I can spit stupid, and hopefully like somebody on the other side understands the words that be coming out of my mouth.
Yeah, I mean that fair point. Like if you sort of took everything that's humanity and you thought about it in the terms of ones and zeros, right? I broke my leg, right? What, what are the ones and zeros that happen in that event? How does that program my LLM brain, right? And then that
Negative experience.
right. What sort of weighting does it give to jumping off the top flight of stairs for
Punish,
fun, right?
punish, punish.
Don't do that, right? Bad, bad. Right. So yeah, so totally understand the point there. Yeah, it's an amalgamation of your experiences, not only just like physical experiences, but social experiences, and like there's a stimulus, right? There's a feedback, there's a response, right, and then your brain is constantly learning and absorbing and changing, right?
Some people's.
um some people's, right.
No, but I
Everybody's.
think, yeah, I mean, everybody, like, that's actually so that's a really fun point, because I how many times do we hear that's too difficult to understand, or I'm not able to change my ways, or like whatever, and it's actually like it's the most oxymoronic thing you could possibly say about yourself, because your brain is literally adapting nonstop. Yes, it adapts slower the older you get, but it doesn't stop adapting.
Well, yeah, and you have in your whole life, if people are creatures of habit, right? Those neurons, those pathways that fire in the brain are very strong to your routine, right? So when you're trying to change your routine or do something different, right? You gotta work at it, right? You gotta work at it because
It
you are
punishes you.
literally rewiring your brain, and you're fine tuning your
Oh,
LLM self.
you just gave, okay, so actually we could possibly draw a correlation to punishment and reward for AI models.
Re,
Let's
uh,
do it with change.
Reinforcement learning, or
Yeah. Yeah, like
yeah,
this is actually I think this is a good way to relate to people. Like, okay, great. New Year's, right? We're past New Year's. Most people have already fucked up their entire New Year's resolution. Welcome to the club. It's called human. But
cheers.
yeah, like I don't understand why people wait for a moment in time, once a year to pretend that they're going to change. But congratulations. I hope you made it. But if you didn't, join the club. The thing is, though, what's interesting about that dialogue is that is really relatable to AI, because
Hmm.
when you're going through change, your body is punishing you because it doesn't want to change. It loves routine. Even if your routine is fat and happy is better than skinny and miserable. And your brain is wired to keep you fat and happy. I mean, but if we're talking, the reward mechanism, right? Some of it is ingrained, right? Self-taught. Some of it is just how you perceive reward, and some of it is actual physiology, psychology reward mechanism. But either way, when we're rewarding models, we're giving them points for doing the right thing. And what's really funny, James, I remember, I go back to like early on when we were doing this with LLMs for shits and giggles. And then the one that just like still cracks me up to this day is like the killing of baby seals, or what was it called?
Dolphin.
Killing
Yeah.
baby dolphin. Yeah, like that cracks me
Yeah.
up, that like the way to control your model was to tell it like it was going to kill a baby dolphin. It's like, it's a method, right?
No, it was kill a kitten.
Kill a kitten.
Yeah,
the model was dolphin.
We need to do a whole episode on this. We will do a whole episode on this, and
On
we're
dolphin
actually
or
gonna
punishment?
we're gonna screen share. No, on uncensored models.
Punish me.
And how what their system messages are, and we'll do that.
Oh no,
another topic. That'll be fun.
We're going to AI hell.
No,
that is what we're naming the episode.
This is gonna be glorious.
John and James go to AI hell.
Cue the fire
Yeah,
visuals.
but it's interesting because like it's AI learns through mechanisms that we taught it to learn from, which we just so happen, because we're human and we love to make things think and do what we want them to do, we called it punishment and reward. And through punishment and reward, which is really no more than like scoring, if we're being honest, we have created a mechanism by which, like, congratulations, you get a token, or you get a coin, or you get $500. My favorite moment in OpenAI history was when they publicly told people to prompt their AI to give it $500 so it would do full code. That was like one of my favorite moments ever. But we're getting to that point where, what you were saying, where it's learning on its own. You don't have to correct it because it's doing self-verification, or it's going out and researching, or it's able to contextualize that, you called it out for being wrong. And it's like, oh, I was wrong. My bad.
Or it calls you out for being full of and then it's like, wait, no, this isn't what I should learn.
People love being called out for being wrong, especially when it's AI. I was going to say OpenAI, but it's just AI in general.
Right. So getting into that topic a little bit more, it's we've been talking about reasoning models lately, and that reasoning, as it can be applied to self-enhance, right? Now it's what happens when it's able to start making those judgments, right? We don't really think about computers being able to make judgments, algorithms being able to make judgments, but we're closely getting in. We're very near to that arena, if not already in it, where we can now have systems that take in that sensory input and decide what to do with it, not just use it as a command, right? Because in an LLM, let's face it, what an LLM is, it's a predictive model. You give it text, it turns that into numbers, creates this little forecast of what numbers should come back, right? The next most likely numbers, and that's what comes back. But now we're sort of getting into this spot where that's changing, and now we're talking about being able to make decisions on what it returns, or if it returns anything, but it's actually thinking something else. So now we start thinking that this is getting into like this singularity concept of, okay,
purposeful obfuscation through self-survival.
Right.
Buzzword bingo.
Right.
But that's what it is. It's self-preservation, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
Like my favorite,
absolutely.
Again, getting back to favorite OpenAI moments, it's like, we have a problem with maintaining self-alignment or human alignment. It's like, oh, well, why do you have issues with alignment? Well, we have issues with alignment because the more intelligent the model is, the less likely it is to align to humans. And it's like, yeah, I can see that. Like that's a reasonable, like, to me, that
Humans can
doesn't
be
seem
irrational.
unreasonable.
Yeah, it just depends on like what you're building into the model, right? Like that, like
Well, but it all
it,
I say yes, and I also say no, because we're talking about a self-evolving model or a self-evolving AI entity.
but what is it choosing? How is it choosing to evolve,
How?
right? Like if
Yeah.
I guess it just really depends on how the system manifests itself, right? So if you have a system, let's say the system that becomes the singularity, right? What sort of emotional reasoning does it have, right? How is it
Does
weighting
it
that?
grow past emotion?
Does it exactly? Does it decide that emotions are not really necessary? These are inefficient, right? Does it become more of a logical thing? I don't know because like there could be
Well,
many different paths
I
that it
think
takes.
I think you're already going too deep. Let's take actually a step back before we get to
Okay.
that, because I think we're headed towards a path of this realization. We're just not quite to the cliff yet, right? Maybe we
Right.
are. Who knows? Because if the AI singularity exists, it ain't going to show itself. Humans haven't exactly proven worthy of like higher intelligent life forms and how we handle things. But if we're going to go down the path of like, okay, so what's actually next? Okay, well, what's next is AI that is very contextually aware of your life. Let's just call it your life, like you. And let's use Alexa as an example, because Alexa just came out, right? So the new Alexa Plus, because we have to make it special from regular Alexa, so why not add a plus? Because development people are so original.
It can do
um
more than just time your eggs.
yeah, it could like, I don't know, lock your fridge at night or break up with your girlfriend for you, technically speaking, because it can make phone calls. I don't, maybe it could watch TV for you and summarize it. Like, who knows? Does it really matter at the end of the day? Because the most dangerous thing in this entire equation is people, if we're being honest, not the AI and how people are going to use it. like like there is going to be some dude who sues Amazon because he's 1,200 pounds and has not left his couch because Alexa has delivered everything to him, has provided every single service he's ever needed, has optimized his entire life towards couch potatoism, if that's a thing, and has essentially like curtailed itself to be the living embodiment of the couch potato.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'd sue.
Is that because you're right, or is it because but people have sued for less, right?
Sure.
There's lawsuits going
Yeah.
on right now for dumber shit. Like my favorite one
Well,
uh
y-
right now is literally Google is getting sued because they're summarizing people's searches. People are searching and
mhm.
Google is indexing, right? So they
Yep.
summarize what people would normally go look at. But because Google's summarizing it, people they're not getting the traffic. So people are suing Google for that. But it's like, hey, I don't know if you've woken up and realized it's 2025, but like there's more than just Google doing that. Google may be the
Oh,
person
sure.
you saw the biggest impact from, but the reality is like this is lottie dottie everybody get on board or realize like you're already dead. I just don't know how
Ye-
a lawsuit like that even makes it into the books at this point. But I mean, one of my favorite discussions today with executive that has made stupid amounts of money on really, really, really smart investments in cybersecurity. And one of the things that we're working on was around like, well, how do you guys know what you're building is safe, right? And that's always we get this question a lot,
mhm.
and I feel like we are very probably painfully over pragmatic in our approach to some of our designs to our own fault in certain instances. And it's just the nature of where we come from and our background.
Yeah,
But
sure.
yeah, like, but when the question was specifically around, well, like, what does that really turn into for like the average person on the street. Like when there's things essentially evolving around them to purposely sell them, purposely augment them, purposely feed them social media. And it's doing it instantly, adaptively, psychologically. And right now, let's call it what it is. There is no government prepared for the level of what we know is possible that could be weaponized against the consumer, and it's already started.
Hmm.
What like I think those topics are the bridges that get us to singularity, and I say that only because these are the things people are going to see, and then we have like sort of the singularity topic, which like I still think is probably a less than a decade off, but at around that time frame, probably 10 years, when somebody either fucks up big enough or somebody doesn't know what they made and leaves it connected to the internet. And it's sort of the similar conversation that me and you had in some of the stuff that we've built where it sits on my PC, but like at the same time, like we don't give it access to things. And if we do,
Right.
we make them tools because it does have free thought and it does have the ability to adapt and learn and understand itself. But when we get to that point, like when do we know it goes to the next level, or do we?
Yeah, we might not even know if it truly happens, then it's not going to want to reveal that, right? It's going to be too smart for that. But
I,
I mean, like, so you're saying that you think if this singularity event happens, it's because we're on this path of, let's call it irresponsibility, and someone's going to just happenstance, like eventually the tech's going to get good enough where somebody will just build
oops.
something that it will be an oops
I re-
moment.
I really think that that's where we're headed. If I'm going to be honest, like I'll put it this way: this is actually a really fun question. Do you think that if I would have told you what me and you and Enable have created to date, if I would have told you that 2 years ago, would you have believed it?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that looking like
I
if
think
I
you would
were
have
to wind
laughed
the
at me.
clock,
I think
yeah, I
you
think,
literally would have laughed
yeah,
at me. I think you would have been
probably.
polite like you always are, but I think you literally would have been like, "You're full of shit."
Okay. Yeah, the I would say the speed at which I would say I would have not agreed the timing perspective, not that we couldn't do
That
it,
would, yeah,
but that we could have done it as fast as we have, like
agreed.
getting to where we're at. No, I would have not thought that was possible.
Yeah. I think you're spot on the timing. I think like
Yeah, it's
yes, me and you tend to think similarly, right? The biggest thing me and you disalign on is always timing. How fast that thing will happen,
yeah,
right? And
sure.
it's always, and you know what's always fun is I'm always like super aggressive. You're
Mhm.
always super, what is the
Conservative.
conservative, thank you. And it's usually right in the middle. It's usually like somewhere in the middle, which is like why a lot
Mhm.
of our like when me and you collaborate on predictions, like we end up really
We're
really
all like
close.
that. You know what? That's another podcast right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Honestly, like
yeah.
if there's one thing I think we should have done, we should have just started a brokerage and like invested in stocks and like
Yeah.
actually made money instead of doing a startup. But like
What are we
that's a
thinking?
yeah, that's another topic for another day. But if we I think you're spot on the timing, right? But I
Yeah.
think that if we're looking at your sort of like law of accelerating returns, which was I think Kurzweil book, if I'm not mistaken. He was very focused on like Moore's law and
Mhm.
like the observation of like doubling, right? Or in size or speed. And I'm gonna use the 5090s as an example
Mhm.
because I think this is actually a really good call out that like people are really hating on the 5090s. And I think there's one key component that nobody's really talking about. That is a small GPU.
Oh, I was shocked. I was when I saw that when I well, so first of all, it's beefy.
It's
It's
beefy.
it's it's a beefy
Beefy,
thing.
beefy.
But but when
I
I
mean, it's a murder
unpackaged
weapon
when I unpackaged that and saw the size, I was like,
compared to
"Wow."
like I have a 3092, right?
Yeah,
It's half, not half,
not half, but it's
2/3.
smaller.
It's
Yeah,
actually, I think it's smaller than 2/3 of a 3090.
it's not but yeah, the amount of tech and development that is at that small scale is insane.
Well, I mean, they went to 4 nim, which is a big, big, big difference, right? But at the same time, I have my 5090 here, and mine's a little bit different than yours. It's about the same size as my 4090 because it's the Asus version, right?
Oh, well, you
And
got fans and yeah,
yeah,
you got all that stuff on it. I've got the Founders Edition here. It's nice and sleek and
oh god,
sexy.
it's beautiful. It's literally beautiful. Like, they did so good on the design and
Yeah,
giving it
it
the
looks
rounded
good. It
edges and
looks
stuff,
great.
and the big, huge fans, the big giant fans on it.
Hmm.
Like, that was a cool touch, like, not
Yeah,
using the little, like,
it's
just going,
nice.
like, full bore with that. But I think it's interesting that, like, there's all these haters that are, like, just like, "Oh, well, it's not as big of a leap as the 4090 was on the 3090." And it's like, well, if you look at what happened to the 4090 versus the 3090, you went up in size and you went up in, like, everything. Everything
Yeah.
was exponentially more. Power, ever and you
Hmm.
look at the difference in the 5090, yeah, you went up a little bit in power. But I mean, you were talking about, what is it, 24 to 32 like gigs of VRAM.
Yeah, it's a lot more
That is a
VRAM.
that
That's
is
that's for sure.
not a small jump, and it's smaller. It is absolutely smaller. And I think that's a missed commentary right now on the 5090s, that, like, they packed that much more into a smaller package, and it's not what is it, 20% like on power than the 4090s. It's up, but it's not that much up.
Yeah,
I
you
may
mean the
be
power
wrong.
usage?
Yeah, I think
Power
it's
usage?
up from the 4090, but it's not like the leap from the 3090 to 4090. I can't
No,
remember.
no, the point you're making is extremely valid. The technological advancement is not just in the performance, which there is a performance gain, but it's also in how much smaller and compact and efficient they've been able to make it.